Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Squat Cobbler. I am Dr. Mike, and official pagan on everything, and joining me, as always,
Hi, everybody. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram. And we would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, turning on notifications, hitting a like here or there, leaving us a comment, perusing our merchandise as the Christmas season approaches, holiday season approaches. We find gifts for the friends and family, and I'm good.
Kelly, JFK Jr. may be coming back to run alongside Trump so that they together can drain the swamp under his father's watchful eye. But no one will ever drain our love of the sewers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. For anybody who's watched us before, you guys see that was a really smooth transition with nothing problematic.
Uh, you're 50% right, I guess.
If you guys have been watching, Kelly and I are both Ninja Turtle guys. I have the arcade one-up cabinet here. We've talked about our kind of introduction to the franchise and some of our thoughts on that before. One thing, though, that we've touched on recently is kind of like fan games built around, retro or bordering on retro series with the BioShock thing that we talked about. There's been in recent years a lot of turtle fan projects that have popped up. So we were kind of sending videos back and forth and things like this. There's one recently that I had sent to you, and I kind of wanted to see what your thoughts on that were.
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts on what you sent. We'll include a link to the video Mike shared in the description. But, I guess first and foremost, I wasn't as aware of the burgeoning uh, fan generated Ninja Turtle gamosphere that exists, but it's
It's there.
substantial. It's
Yeah.
substantial. And the particular game you shared was really well executed, and so I was really impressed with it. What I became even more intrigued by was they talked about Beats on Rage, which is kind of the engine or the platform that so there's a game, and then they created an open BOR open software that anybody can download and basically begin to use their game engine and extensibilities and kind of swap the sprites out and do all the kind of interesting things to customize the game, to reskin the game, to modify the game engine, to add things and all that. And it opened up with all my free time. Clearly, what I'm going to need to find a way to invest some of that in is understanding that better, because we have warned you in the past that at some point there might be a squat cobbler game, a game that comes from Bog Panda, and the more I look at that, I say, well, this might be, if I can get smart about it, this might be the platform to kind of put that bad boy together.
And there are so on Super Console X, there are a few games from that platform that have made their way onto there. And if anyone doesn't know, it's a game engine that is based off of the kind of old school side-scrolling beat 'em up games, specifically Streets of Rage, where it's borrowing its title from. Now, did you play the Streets of Rage games at all, Kelly?
So very little, very little. I had, when it came up, kind of as I was reading about it, I go, yeah, I'm familiar. It's not completely foreign to me, but not I wasn't steeped in it. But I know you're a bit of a fighting game guy, so I expect your experience might be a little more robust.
Yeah, I always like the side-scrolling games like that. They're not one-on-one fighting, more of the action arcade style games. And Streets of Rage is a really good one because you got that side-scrolling arcade feel on a home console that they really were able to recreate. Like I love the Double Dragon games, which are kind of like the grandfathers of that in a lot of ways. But the Double Dragon games on consoles are very, very different than the arcade Double Dragon counterparts. And even when they started bringing things like Ninja Turtles and all to the home consoles, it's not exactly the same experience. Those are great games, but it wasn't really the same experience as like the 4-player arcade cabinets. So when you get to Streets of Rage, and then for the Nintendo systems, mainly, you had the Final Fight series from Capcom and things like that. These were much truer to an actual arcade experience at home.
Yeah, and I think I'm a little fuzzy, but I think 88th Street's another really good example, kind of this basic kind of concept, but it's more on the arcade side.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, those are cool. There's Predator themed ones. There's lots of good ones out there. It is a it is a, to your point, it's a different experience than when you're doing kind of more the Tekken Mortal Kombat kind of fighting stuff where it's dual, because it is the side-scrolling kind of action. But they're fun games. You progress through levels. You got some problem solving to do on occasion. Some of them lean into inventory more than others, and so it's a fun platform. And then to have offered up here what looks like a very robust platform for you to begin to play around yourself and maybe create something. Uh, it's exciting. It just strikes me, and there seems to be a fair amount of material out on YouTube and other sources that can kind of tutorial your way through there. But I've got to look into a little bit more. There's a website called a Chrono Crash. We'll include a link to that as well. And it seemed to be a really good hub to kind of point to, okay, here's forums and downloads and all those types of things, and an inventory of games created using this engine, some of which are free, some of which you need to pay for.
Yeah, it's all very interesting, and the kind of homebrew market that we see now is very fascinating to me because it's gone beyond just, the occasional weird thing you would pick up online to, entire cottage industry. And it's amazing some of the stuff that people are coming up with, from these turtle games that all look incredible to, these small indie companies that have popped up that are making games, cartridge based games for the retro systems and everything. So it's all really impressive to me. Now, if you were going to do a side scrolling fighting game based in the Bog Panda universe, what are some of the things you'd like to see in there?
Well, I've got one or two paths that I'm currently pondering to decide. One of them is it's why I'm utilizing the background I'm using today. Is wanted to maybe kind of continue to let me release the tension and anger I have around Mike's deep favoritism towards his other podcast, The Horror Connection. And so it would be this game of me trying to get a logo, and Mike and Tony continuing to take the logo away or make new logos of their own, or throw the Horror Connection logo at you, and all those types of things. So I think something along that lines where you and Tony Viejo are the bosses of the levels. So I think that's a good one. And then the other one I thought about, not surprising to folks who watch the show, would be Hansen Must Die. That would be where we'd be working together on a quest to kill Hansen. So I would be interested. Those are a little dark. At least one of them is. I don't usually
Murdering real life people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in a fun way, fun murder. I'm glad we can't monetize right now, because I don't. This one might be a problem. But I usually am in an odd spot here, because I don't usually cover the dark territory of the show. Usually that's Dr. Mike's domain. So let's get to that. So it's now in your hands, sir, for the Bog Panda universe. Where are you going with your side scroller?
I mean, obviously, it's going to be just kind of going around maybe like a mall environment, or somewhere that's heavily populated with people, and just kind of introducing them to our podcast. Just like grabbing their phones and downloading our podcast, and then they're happy, and we just leave people better than the way we found them.
Oh, isn't that sweet? See, well, the first time we try and kill Hansen, it'll be like
the first time we try and murder these real life people.
Maybe it's just beat up. Hansen must be beat up. It just doesn't have the same ring to it. But
assault's fun and all, but murder.
It just that's a problem. So, we'll workshop it, but very open to input. folks were seeing something coming from us, would you rather see Hansen Must Die or spreading the Bug Panda content across the universe with smiley faces, or the allow me to vent further frustration with the horror connection? So,
I mean, the good news is Alec Baldwin can be a boss in any of them.
oh yes, oh, I knew you wouldn't let me down. It's just kind of bookending this episode with special treasures. So check this stuff out, folks. If you haven't seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff that's out there, this video will be a great example of one. There's many out there. And take a look at this open BOR software, because it looks pretty fun. And maybe you could look into it, learn it, and then help me because I want to give it a shot.
You guys can do the legwork. That would be great.
If you could work out the, shoot me some Hanson sprites, it'd be awesome. And we'll get there. We'll probably run into some music issues with them. We'll have to come up with an approach there, but we'll see.
Well, I think we hit on everything there. Kelly took us into dark, inappropriate territory, as he often does. So I think the only thing I can leave us on is maybe another possible game that we could do is we search for the truth behind Jeffrey Epstein's end.
Thanks for watching. Hansen Must Die.
Thanks, everybody.